Well, welcome to our Facebook Live presentation, preparing for the solar eclipse. Of course, it's on April 8th, and there's a lot of things that the crews have been preparing for around the Allen County and in the city. So we're going to get right to it because we have a panel of guests that are going to be telling you what you need to know. So if you have any questions, there's an email, limeeclipse@wlao.com. You can email the questions and we'll get them to the panel. So to my immediate left right now, we have Gene Smith. He's with St. Rita's Medical Center, Mercy Health, the Chief of Police. We have Berlin Schierick, and he is with Executive Director of Lime Memorial. Brandon Fisher, Allen County Health Commissioner, and then Dr. Jeff Underbrink, the eyesight of Lima. So thank you guys for coming today. And Gene, let's start with you. How is St. Rita's preparing? Tell us what you want people to know.
Well, sure. In my role as Chief of Police, I also oversee emergency management. And really, that's just it. Emergency management deals with anything in the community or within the hospital that is out of ordinary operations. And obviously, the eclipse, as we've talked about, I think ad nauseum in the community, but so everybody knows, I mean, we're expecting, maybe a doubling or tripling of our population. And so anytime you have that, you're going to have an increased demand on all services provided by hospitals, government, whatever the case may be, even retail places. And so we want to make sure as a medical center that we're able to still treat our local community, knowing that that local community could be much bigger population. Sure. And so we want to make sure that we have the staff, that we have the supplies, and that we have the communication abilities with the community and all our partners to make sure that we're there. So really our goal in preparation for the eclipse is to be as well prepared as we are to maintain normal hospital operations, even though outside the walls of the hospital there's going to be significantly more people in our service area.
Mm-hmm. So if you have a doctor's appointment or a planned surgery, give yourself extra time to get there? I mean, because traffic is going to be one of those issues?
Absolutely. If you're coming to the hospital, you need to account for maybe significant delays in traffic. But if it's a doctor's appointment, you're going to need to check with your doctor's office and make sure that they haven't adjusted operations, because some physicians' offices may have varied their hours. Some physicians' offices may be offering telehealth, much like in the height of COVID.
Right.
But maybe telehealth on this particular data. We're going to do everything we can to keep traffic, help our part to keep traffic to a minimum. And so that may be an option as well. That's going to depend on the practice. But really, for the most part, our goal is to be as operationally normal as possible. So we're going to try to be as close to business as usual.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Berlin, at Lime Memorial Health Systems, kind of the same thing. What have you guys been prepared for?
Very similar. Exactly. The health systems are inbound businesses for people with healthcare needs. So we're used to having surges and influxes. So we just follow our surge protocol. We might staff a little extra, but it's business as usual. Again, telecommunications, Wi-Fi, all that is in-house. No disruption in services. We might, what we've decided to do is order extra, say, oxygen if they had an incoming flux in our ER. But mainly our focus has been on our outlying communities. We've been asked by several communities, hey, can you have your doctor's office open Saturday, Sunday, Monday? So we decided, sure, let's have extended hours and just be available if there's a need. We're not going to staff any type of, or not going to schedule any type of patients, but just have the staff there in case there's walk-ins. I think that would be the only addition to what we're doing as business as usual, just having some of those communities like Indian Lake or Kenton or Wapak available for anybody in the community that happens to have a need so we can triage them.
Mm-hmm.
So.
I don't know if this might not be an appropriate question for you guys, maybe more for the sheriff or Tom, but are you worried about getting your ambulances out and back to the hospital in case there is an emergency? I mean, we don't want that, but if there is an emergency, are you guys ready for that in the ERs and to get the traffic in?
We've talked about it, and I think we're relying on the county EMA. We've talked about staging. I think they'll talk about that more. They're going to stage ambulances in various areas of the community so they don't have to leave their hub and go out and back. That's probably the biggest thing I see would be the advantage of this day planning ahead of time is putting resources in the community where they have the people.
In addition to that, I know we've worked with our partners in EMS and fire and EMA, and we've made plans to even stage one of our air ambulances in the county so that should traffic be that bottled up, that there'll be another alternative that we can get emergent patients to the hospital as quickly as possible, and obviously go over top the traffic as need be.
I'm sure you guys always go through scenarios all the time, so this is one of those just different scenarios to make sure, hey, everybody's ready, we're all on the same page, and things like they're going to be just fine.
Yeah, actually, it's a great tool to prep ahead, to have this much time to get your incident command up and running, have people involved, in our health system as part of different section leaders understanding what's going to be involved. So,
Okay, so let's switch now to public health. And Brandon, what are your concerns? What issues do you want people to know about?
Well, the big thing that we're doing in preparation for the event is really working on our messaging out to the community to try to keep them safe for the event. So we know that there's going to be a lot of people who are going to try to make money off of the event by selling food. We want to make sure that when you're out trying to buy that food, that you're getting this food from a safe vendor so that you're not getting sick and then potentially putting a burden on our hospital systems from those GI illnesses that come after. So one thing that we're really putting the message out is look for the license.
Okay.
Each person should be getting a food license, whether it's a food truck, they should have a license that looks similar to this. It doesn't necessarily have to come from us for food trucks, but temporary food licenses for people, they have to get the license application to us 10 days in advance. And then we go out and we make sure that they're prepping that food properly so that the food's being cooked to the appropriate temperature. They're not holding it at like chicken at 60 degrees, because then it allows that bacteria growth to get on there and can cause a lot of illness in the community. So that not only creates work for potential ER visits, but then that creates after work for us on the back end. We're also working with different campgrounds to make sure that they're able to have the campers get in, make sure that they're taking care of the trash that goes into those facilities, have the spacing so that fire and EMS can get in there and respond should there be any needs in there. We're working with partners, just knowing that we're still dealing with the opioid overdose crisis in the community, so we're trying to get Narcan in the hands of enough responders so that they have that available to them, so that they have that immediate response stuff available to them. But we're also putting messages out to individuals in the community. And it could be as simple as, if I'm a homeowner and I want to park someone in my front lawn, but if I don't know where my septic system is, I park them on my septic system, we get a rainstorm. You don't want to destroy your septic system and then have to replace that septic system and spend $15,000. So we're going to be putting messaging out. We have a GIS mapping system that shows you where that septic system is, so you can make sure that you're protecting that home investment that you have there. So we're trying to make sure that we're protecting not only the health and well-being, but also your pocket, to make sure that you're not taking on those additional expenses. Same with wells. We're trying to make sure that you're not parking right over top of a wellhead and then contaminating your water. So it's a big effort on our part just to make sure that we're providing that messaging out to the community to make sure that individuals are staying safe.
So do you really think that people are going to be like grilling in their yard or something to try to sell food?
There may be some people, we do see in the summertime, some people try to pull a grill out and just try to sell out of their home. And that we've found some people that have tried to sell food out of their home, they're not licensed, and then we find that there's 2 or 3 people that get sick from the food that's sold in that home. So it's not something that happens often, but that's generally where we see our foodborne illnesses come from. It's not the restaurants, because we go to those restaurants, we inspect them, the people working in them know how to handle the food. It's the people who, hey, I got a little extra food, I want to go and cook this out and provide this out to you, and then they don't cook it right or they don't hold it right, and then you have bacteria growth and it goes out into the community. So if anything, to avoid you not feeling well for a couple days, that's what we're trying to do there.
Okay, yeah. All right, yeah. Okay, interesting stuff. And then Dr. Jeff, we're talking about our eyes for this. I mean, everyone wants to look up at the eclipse, but don't do that. Tell us what the proper protocol is to make sure that we all stay safe with our eyes.
Right. Really here to kind of tell you how to safely view it and not to have permanent damage in it. And it can cause permanent damage if you don't view it correctly. Probably the easiest way are the ISO certified glasses that we actually still have some at our office if people would want to come pick a few pairs up. And You also could use a welder's helmet, usually a shade 13, 14, or 15, so I know that's been a question before. I've fielded questions that people are like, why can't I just use regular sunglasses? That's not an approved option and could cause definite damage to your retina. And we want everybody to be safe, and putting them on before you look up, and then at the end of the eclipse, you turn away and take them off is the safest way.
How do you know that there's so many people selling glasses out there? How do you know? Right. Is it on there that, would you say ISO? Is that
so ISO is a certified international organization for standards that basically will have their stamp on there. There are websites that might be selling counterfeit ones. You know, you kind of have to be looking out for that. One website that I went to is eclipse.aas.org. It's the American Astronomical Society, and they have approved vendors on there actually of where you could get real legitimate ISO certified. Mm-hmm.
So we're talking, if you don't do it properly, you can burn your eyes and go blind totally, or do you?
Yes, it depends on how long the exposure, but you know that the macula, the part of the retina that sees central vision. People know macular degeneration when you say that. Mm-hmm. A lot of people understand that concept. It's not. It's that area. It's that central vision that can be damaged permanently if you are staring at it without an approved device.
All right, very good. Anything else you guys could think of that you want to tell everyone to be safe during the eclipse?
Really, that's just it. Be safe. If we can keep the demand to the hospitals and the emergency rooms as low as possible, but also know that if you have an emergency, we are prepared and we're ready for our staff to be able to treat them.
You know, we've been talking about day of, but they're saying that people are going to come in through the weekend and things like that. I mean, Berlin, you said you're going to have some doctor's offices open, so really you guys are prepared for the whole event, because from the beginning to the end and maybe a little bit after.
Yeah, absolutely. We're kind of treating it like it's like Memorial Day weekend, and know that there's going to be several days in a row of maybe parties. Of course, a lot of this obviously is weather dependent and stuff, but we're ready for, as far as weather goes, we're ready for the best case scenario, right? Clear blue skies, nice and warm, and a lot of people visiting our community, and we're ready to meet those needs. Mm-hmm.
That just thought, if it's cloudy, do you still have to wear the glasses?
Yes.
Okay, so no matter what the weather, wear the glasses if you're going to look up.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Ken, trying to stay safe. Thank you guys very much for joining us. We're going to take a break and bring in 4 more people for our panel. So if you have questions, you can email us at limaeclipse@wlio.com, and we'll be right back.
With a significant number of visitors expected in the Lima area for the solar eclipse, authorities are advising residents to be prepared. Traffic will be heavy and lines may be long for local services such as gas stations and groceries. So make sure you get supplies, including prescriptions, gas, and cash, well in advance of April 8th. Schedule important activities before Friday, April 5th or after Tuesday, April 9th. Also be aware that cell phone service may be overwhelmed, making communication a challenge. Develop a plan with family and friends if you lose service. Find out which neighbors have a landline in case of emergency. And if you do not have proper eye protection, avoid looking directly at the sun.
Welcome back to our second session of Facebook Live, being prepared for the solar eclipse. And if you have a question, just don't email us at limaeclipse@wlio.com. And now our second panel to the left, of course, we have Allen County Sheriff Matt Treglia. Then we have Tom Berger, Allen County EMA Director, Mayor Teresa Smith from the City of Lima, and then Jed Metzger, the CEO and President of Lima Allen County Chamber of Commerce. And thank you all for coming today. Good to have you.
Thank you for having us.
So this time we're going to focus on what you guys want to put out there. And so, Sheriff, let's start with you. What's the main messaging that you want everyone to know?
Well, I guess one of the main messages I'd like to get out is if you don't have to travel that day, stay home. I think that would be the smartest thing we could do for what we're expecting as far as the increase in population and the increase of traffic. It's going to be a big deal. And if you can stay home, that would be the smartest play at this time that we can come up with after talking to everybody from prior eclipses.
All right, very good.
And travel, like I said, is going to be definitely delayed.
What about 911? You think that's going to be okay?
I'll let Tom talk about 911 a little
okay.
more, but they promised us the entire time that they're going to have priority to 911 in our 911 system.
So it's kind of going to be an increased load for you guys with all these extra people in town. Is it like all hands on deck for you guys?
Yeah, well, actually, it is all hands on deck. We have what we call a blackout day for that day, and no one can take the day off of work. And we're going to have, obviously, 10 to 12 cruisers working, and they'll all be two-man units that day. And we're going to space them out throughout the county. So they're not going to be running from the east side to the west side. They're going to have their own zone that they're going to stay in, and they're going to handle their calls in that zone. And right next to them will be another group of officers in two-man units. So like I said, we don't have to respond with two cruisers. We'll have two-man units at the time. And it's going to be a big deal for us to make sure EMS and fire can get to emergencies, and we're going to help them get there if need be.
Right, yeah, because you never know with all these people coming in what will pop up.
Oh, you're exactly right. I mean, we hope for the best, but plan for the worst.
All right, very good. So Tom, what about you? We've seen you a lot, and you're out there trying to pump this message out there. So tell us more.
Yeah, so I guess the main message would be this isn't just going to be a one-day event. We're planning on folks to start to arrive in the county maybe Wednesday, Thursday, leading up to the Monday event. And then when we get to the actual April 8th and the Eclipse, we like to concentrate on that 3 o'clock to 3:05 of that totality. But the eclipse actually starts at 1:54 and will run to just about 4:30. So during that whole time frame, we're anticipating that folks may be pulling off onto the side of the road to see the eclipse as it starts. So we're asking folks to be aware of your surroundings if you do have to be on the roadways, and make sure that you're taking those precautions as needed.
What about 911?
Yeah. So 911. We're told that 911 should not be impacted. All of our cellular providers have priority for 911 calls, and then we also in the county have text to 911 available as well. So we always say call if you can, text if you can't, but 911 services should not be impacted.
You're always on about be prepared for winter weather, be prepared for tornado season. Got to be prepared for this. What kind of box do you want us to have? What do we need in our box to be prepared for this?
Yeah, so when we talk about being prepared, it's that 36-hour time frame that we're looking for folks to be prepared for. So if you don't have to go to the grocery store on Monday, please try to stay home. If you need to utilize that kit, great. We're glad that you have it, but make sure you replenish it on Tuesday, Wednesday, once you take some of those items out of that kit.
Okay, so just be ready. Have you guys been in communication with other counties, the surrounding counties? I mean, is everybody kind of working together with that too?
Yeah, that's a great question. I know as a Northwest Ohio region, we've been planning for over 2 years for the Eclipse. The state started back in early 2021, and then we started having our meetings about a year ago with the region, specifically for Eclipse. We've been talking about for about 2 years.
So you guys are ready.
We're hoping.
One of the things that pops in my mind is like, how do you know that this many people are going to come in? What guidelines and what are you looking at to know, like, okay, in the past this happened and this is what happened, and that's why you know, because sometimes people are like, seriously, this sounds like too much.
Yeah, so we're basing it on historical data. In 2017, looking at the line of totality, we looked at Bowling Green, Kentucky and Warren County, Kentucky. They're a little bit larger than us, but they kind of have the same infrastructure as us. So we're basing our planning off of what they call their after actions report, their AAR, on the amount of people that came to the area and some of the issues that arose from those visitors that they had in the area.
So probably because we have 75 and 30 and 33, we're kind of like a target area besides a longer period of time for the total.
Yep, and you're correct. And astronomy.com, I believe, had us at 11 as the best spot in the United States to view the eclipse.
Mm-hmm. That's pretty cool. What a great ranking.
Absolutely.
Okay, so Mayor Smith, the city of Lima, what are you guys preparing for and how is it all working together?
Yeah, so as Tom was talking about, we are in the path of totality. So we are expecting double, almost maybe even triple our population. And so we're specifically for city operations, we had a regularly scheduled council meeting for that night. So we are not holding city council that night. We are encouraging individuals to stay home as well. We're encouraging individuals, any errands that you need to run in terms of your groceries, filling up your car, do that ahead of time. And also understanding that although the eclipse is on Monday, we're asking people to start preparing as early as Thursday as well.
Right, because people will be coming early, and so get your stuff done so everybody else can come to town.
Yes, and we know that most of our hotels are already filled. So the fact that people are coming, I think, is a real fact that we can say because the hotels are already booked up. The word is out. There was an article that came out today saying, you know, what is the small town in Ohio to go see the eclipse, and Lima, Ohio was listed on that list.
Oh, okay. So we're getting the word out, so even more people probably come. And of course, there's cooperation shared between the city and the county as far as like patrols and stuff like that.
Yeah, obviously, we'll have mutual aid with the city, and they'll have the same with us. If they need anything and we're around and we can respond with them to help, we absolutely will. And the same would go for us, I assume. If we needed something that was close within the city, they'll respond to help also.
Mayor, are the park rangers going to be out? Because I imagine people are going to go to like Fair Oak Park and the different parks and Schoonover where the observatory is.
Yes, so Lima Fire, Lima Police, and park rangers will be out as well. So our fire chief, our police chief has been participating in the meetings over 2 years with Allen County EMA, so great collaboration there. We've been having meetings among our city staff as well. So all city parks will be open, particularly Schoonover Park, where the Schoonover Observatory will be open that day, specifically from 9 a.m. to 6. We're also prepared to bring in extra crews from other departments to assist with directing traffic and things of that nature. So we are prepared.
All right. So, Jed, what are you telling the business community? Because we have this many people coming in. I mean, even though we have the fair and festivals and things, and
well, one of the main things is all the deliveries. So we're trying to encourage our business, and we've talked, Dr. Decker and I have talked to several different businesses to say, hey, you know, if you don't need the deliveries on this date, postpone them to after the event or bring them in early for the event. Of course, we tell them with their employees to, as the mayor has said, yeah, gas your tanks up, you know, if they're going to get to work, you know, everybody, if it's double your population, there's going to be less availability of gas. And then, of course, communications, as we've all talked about, is going to be a very, very challenging aspect, especially with cell phones. And, you know, hopefully some businesses might have landlines, but a lot trying to contact their employees, it's all by cell phone anymore. And then you look at the things that you need to plan for. If for a small business, doubling the population, you're going to have a lot more people coming in your store. So you're going to have to be prepared for that. If you're open, you're going to have to be prepared for that. So we just try and encourage people to be safe. Credit card machines and things like that probably will not work as we're accustomed to. So as a small business, you have to figure out how you're going to do a cash sale. So those are some of the highlights things. We do have a little flyer. If people want it, they can get that at the chamber. It tells you a little bit more about those type of things. So again, just be prepared. I mean, that's the when I was at the Red Cross, is, you know, preparation is everything.
right,
So.
yeah. Well, what about businesses with that many people? People are going to want to go to the bathroom and that kind of thing. Should businesses decide that?
So a lot of the businesses, even the larger businesses, are going to work short shifts, as I'd say, like they did in COVID and things like that nature. I mean, each business is going to do their own thing depending upon safety aspects and production aspects and things of that nature. So I think we've hit about every single businesses, either through communications or direct communications with them to try to have them be prepared. The big box stores, I mean, that many people, they're going to have more supplies in hand, so it's better that they get those in now rather than to wait until the 8th.
Tom, how real is it, the possibility that, you know, credit cards aren't going to work, that our cell phone's not going to work? I mean, because people, and this technology in this day and age, people are like, it's going to work, I'm not going to worry about it.
Yeah, so it's two things. So depending on how your credit card machines are set up, if they're using a traditional wireless Wi-Fi network, they should be okay. If they're using mobile data is where you may run into those issues if the cell phone towers become jammed with the increased traffic here in Lima Allen County area.
It can jam quickly, right? Because I know you said before at the Allen County Fairgrounds during fair.
Yeah,
it jams
during the
up.
fair, not just on concert night, but when the fair attendance got up a little bit, Verizon coverage was extremely spotty. There were some concerns with that. We did reach out to try to mitigate those issues, but unfortunately we weren't able to address those.
Mm-hmm. And I know someone had a question about, again, 911. Is that a landline? Is that why you guys are pretty confident that everything's going to be okay?
Well, the wireless carriers have priority for 911 services, so those are the first calls that we'll get through.
All right, very good. Anything else that you guys think you forgot before I get to questions? Because we do have some questions submitted.
I do want to.
Go ahead, Mayor.
Thank you, Sheriff. I do want to add, with that increased amount of people, we've received questions about trash and trash pickup.
Yes.
So those services will still be running. In addition to that, on April the 9th, we have special crews that will be out throughout the city cleaning up any litter that's left behind. That's not a license to litter. Just letting individuals know that we are prepared even for that.
Well, I know after the 4th of July in the parks, there's a lot of extra trash. So
Yes.
if people are going to be there. So my trash day is Monday. I still put out my trash.
You
today?
still do.
Okay. All right. Very good.
Yeah,
Sheriff.
just one thing I wanted to add, Holly. This is an event that's once in a lifetime, and none of us here are probably ever going to see it again.
Right.
So, I mean, it's supposed to be fun. I think we should go out and enjoy it. Everybody should try to stay patient and have a good time.
Right. Okay, so here's one of our questions from Daryl. It's regarding travel, because before the eclipse happens, that weekend he wants to go out of town to Dublin. Specifically, like Saturday into Sunday, is that going to be hard traffic? What are suggestions?
I think that there's going to be an increased amount of traffic, but it's going to come in over 3 and 4 and 5 days even. So it's not going to be as much. So the main traffic issue is going to be just after the eclipse, when people weren't planning on staying, try to get back on the interstates, and that's when it's going to be our major traffic issue at that point. So, I don't think it's going to be a huge problem. Do I think they're going to see an increase in traffic coming back? Yes, I do, but I don't think it's going to be any kind of major delays. Tom,
Yes,
would you agree?
Yes.
100% agree, 100% with Sheriff.
Didn't you say there's a huge traffic jam in Bowling Green, Kentucky? I mean, tell us that.
Yeah, so after the totality is when we anticipate that those traffic jams could start to take hold on our roadways. Not only that 75, but secondary roads. We know that everyone utilizes Waze and Google Maps. So when out-of-town folks come in, when a major artery starts to clog, those are going to route them off onto our side streets. And cause
So we
issues.
can't even get around it. No, we know the back ways.
Exactly, exactly. That's why we want people to be patient, be prepared, and make sure you have a plan.
So really, overall, we're recommending people stay at home in their own backyard or go somewhere closer to home in a local park or something.
Yep, and if you have folks coming in from out of town, we're
Yes.
telling folks to come early and stay late. Try to have those folks stay until the 9th or 10th before they decide to leave.
Right, yeah, like my kids are coming from Columbus, so they should come early.
Yep, come early and stay late.
All right, very good. All right, so here's another question from Laura. What plans are in place? Oh, we kind of covered this, the trash. So that's what Laura wanted to know. And so, Mayor, you said trash is picking up in the county. What about the sides of the road? Because, remember we used to have the chain gang picking up trash. What about like on 75 and 30 and some of the major thoroughways? What are we doing with trash
Yep,
there?
so we have started discussions with ODOT and the county engineer's office for the county roads to make sure if there are any issues that we get those addressed.
Okay. Anybody else on trash? Okay. All right. What plans are in place to ensure travel by the emergency vehicles are not impeded and we needed? Earlier they kind of brought that up, but yeah, I'd be worried if someone's having a heart attack at my house and is the ambulance going to get there in time?
I agree. We're going to give every effort to get there as soon as possible and not to have any delays for any kind of medical issues whatsoever as far as EMS and fire. I think if it becomes that clogged and there's that big a problem and is a serious medical issue, just like Gene Smith brought up, we have an air ambulance in place to get them and go over the traffic at that point.
And plus, don't drive them in yourself. It'd be better to call
No,
the
it would be
ambulance.
better to call us. And like I said, our units are going to be responsible, if it is that congested, trying to get EMS and fire to their location sooner than later.
Right, okay. All right, Tom, you kind of mentioned this, the timeline. So when do you think the influx of people are coming in and, the timeline of you said after the eclipse will be the biggest bulk of travel?
Yeah, looking at Warren County, as soon as their totality ended is when they started to really notice the severe congestion on the roadways. And it was a significant amount of time. Their totality was, I believe, at 1:30 or 2:30, and then they were still having congestion issues at midnight that night.
So are you guys going to have other people out there helping with the roads or traffic, or just everyone fends for themselves getting out?
As much as possible, yes, we are, and if we're not responding to emergency situations. But keep in mind what Tom said, and as long as it lasted, our totality ends at
3.
So you can
So that's
expect us to
earlier.
go even if it's even close to the same into 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning.
Oh,
Correct.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
ugly. So like ACERT or any of those other people, are they going to be helping with the roads?
As of right now, no.
Okay, all right. So, all right, so just don't leave right away. Take your time. Let all the visitors leave first, and then we get, okay.
Correct.
All right. So, Tom, what are some of the worst case scenarios that you guys have been planning for?
It's really everything's based around traffic and making sure that we can get our first responders to emergencies, whether those be a normal medical emergency or a traffic accident, so we can get to those emergencies. Are kind of the worst case scenarios that we're planning for.
All right. Anything else you guys can think of, Jed, with businesses?
Well, I will say a lot of, well, it's the community too. A lot of people have called me that are coming here. And of course they need to, where do we go for different things? So seeyoureclipse.org is a site that we have any local type of activities going on throughout that spread of time that we're talking about. If you have an event you're doing, please let us know. We'll put that on the site as well. So there's a lot of people questioning what to do and where's it at, and so I've taken several of those phone calls, and you're right, all the hotels are pretty much filled. We track that on a weekly basis, and I just gave Tom a report on that. So there's not any room available. So sometimes people will just come in and pitch a tent somewhere, and so you'll see.
I assume that's not legal.
Well, it's not
Not on
legal,
private property.
not on private
Okay,
property,
okay.
and the problem is some of the fields are going to be wet. So if they're getting into the fields with the farmers, that's going to be a problem, and so we have tried to warn farmers to put up signs to say this is a private area, do not park here, and there's a lot of liability issues that come along with that as well.
Right. Mayor, this is probably for you. Someone wanted to know if there's going to be extra porta potties out and about.
As of right now, there are no plans for extra porta potties, but all of the restrooms at all of the parks will be open and fully operational. Individuals are encouraged really to go watch at the park. Parking around the park is ample, particularly areas like Robb Park has ample parking. So does MLK Park have ample parking as well. We are opening up the bowl at Farouk Park as well. And so we're really just trying to steer individuals to those open spaces to be able to watch the eclipse.
Right, yeah.
And I will say on porta potties, it's very limited. I mean, if you haven't got a porta potty now, it's probably not going to.
Oh, it's already taken.
Find one.
I see.
Right?
Oh.
So we learned that from the solar bash that we're doing on that Saturday, is that we had to get them early, and we were warned, so we got them early. So we will have them there that's a community event on April the 6th.
Right.
So we will have those there for that event.
Tom.
And then we hear a lot of discussion about the weather, especially the weather here in West Central Ohio. We know from like Jed and the mayor just said, the hotels are booked, so we're still going to have people here that are coming to our area. So we still need to be prepared, even if it's going to be rainy, cloudy in West Central Ohio. So
Take that out of
they're
your
coming.
mouth.
Yeah.
No. We're going to have good weather.
Yeah, we're going to have good weather, but people are still going to come even if we don't have great weather.
Right, yeah, so they're coming no matter what. All right.
Exactly.
Sheriff, it looked like you were going to say something.
No, I'm good.
You're good? All right. Anybody else have anything else to say? Double check to make sure we have used our questions. Pretty good?
Yeah.
Everybody be prepared. We know it's coming. They're ready. You be ready too.
Be
Thank you very
prepared and
much.
be patient.
Yeah, be
Yes.
patient. That's true too. Yeah. Thanks for joining us on our Facebook Live event.
Thank you.